And we are back on the 1966 Ford Country Sedan. And we're rocking the Farmer John's today. You know what it is. Last time you saw this wagon, not only did we get it running, get it timed, all that. What else did we do? Oh, we also got the gas tank back in. I already can't remember what it was. It was a week ago. But anyways, we got this thing one step closer to getting on the road. Oh, that's right, the wheels and tires. Wheels and tires. Gas tank, wheels and tires. Those are a little important. Got it running. And today's going to be kind of a weird episode, I think. Not entirely sure how it's going to go because I don't really know what I can get done. But I have a few things that do have to get done on this thing in order to make it more of a daily driver. And well, I'm kind of on a timeline because as I announced last episode, I am taking this 1966 wagon that we're calling Stray Cat onto Power Tour West. But as I said, we're taking this thing on Power Tour West, which means I need this wagon to be as good as it can possibly be. So one of that very important things is a windshield. And as you might be able to tell, there's a big hole in mine. No bueno. So I actually have a windshield coming on Monday to fix that. Once I have a windshield, I really only have a few minor things that I have to do in order to start driving this thing around and, you know, working out all the bugs. And that's what I'm going to work on today because, well, today is Saturday now. Kind of late in the process, but we're going to try to get some of those things done so that once the windshield is put in, we can start driving it. And those few things are, 1, a new battery tray. 2, I have to put a new master cylinder as well as some new brake lines from the master cylinder to the distribution block because, well, ours has a major leak in one of the lines and our master cylinder actually does have a leak in it. Plus, the fittings face a really weird direction, so I want to get that fixed because I don't want them going directly into the exhaust. So we have to fix our brakes, we have to fix our battery tray. I actually already went yesterday and got our tires and wheels balanced, so all of 5 of our Magnum 500s and Radial TAs are all balanced already, A+. So that's done. Oh, I also forgot, we also have to get our steering column and steering wheel situation solved because I put on a different steering wheel that doesn't technically fit in its current state, and we're gonna have to modify our turn signal housing in order to make it fit. So, lots of things. Let's get into it. Now, first and foremost, I apologize for this weird yellow look. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's very yellow on screen, and, well, I don't really know why, but it makes me look extra tan. As you can see here, I already pulled out our old battery tray, and this was a little bit of a fight, but as you can see, it's, well, garbage. It's rusted entirely, and it worked, kind of, but I don't want that. So, over there it goes. And what we have here is this perfectly good-looking-ish battery tray that is actually a Cobra Jet battery tray that we went ahead and modified, as you can see here, and took off the support bracket that goes on it. Why would I ruin a perfectly good Cobra Jet battery tray? Because I didn't have another, and this one was just sitting in the shed, and it's been there for years, and I needed a battery tray, and this one, well, it was pretty much identical to that one, so we use this one. And plus, the support bracket's the expensive part. You can buy these reproduction all day. It's the support bracket, which we saved, that cost a little bit of money. So I'm going to go ahead and probably just do a quick coat on this guy just to cover up some of the metal and inhibit the rust. So I guess let's do that now. Now, if you've seen me do anything here at all, here on the cherry picking channel, you know I don't really care about doing things right sometimes. And you shouldn't either. Don't always do the right job, just do the job that you need. And that's the case for this one. We're not gonna prep this thing good. Nope, we're just gonna pour a little bit of acetone on it to clean it up, let it soak it in a little bit, and there you go, paint prepped. Now, I'm not super worried about this thing. I mean, it's gonna rust, battery acid's gonna get on it. I really just want it to be cleaner than it is, because realistically, if I care enough, I will replace it later on with a correct one that isn't pitted everywhere. But for now, this will work completely fine for what it's going on. And I guess I could scrape off some of this crap here. Nah, it's fine. Let's paint it. Now, we'll go ahead and take this 90% empty can here and just kind of, well, this one may not work. Yeah. All right, this can's gone. Never mind. Guess we're trying this one. They're all over us. Quick work. Get this out and just much better. All right, I throw a few more coats on this, but we're gonna let it relax a little bit with that paint on it. And now we're gonna move on to trying to fix our brakes. All right, so I've got our new battery tray in place, and well, it's in. What I'm working on right now is our brakes. So let me come over here and I'll show you. So this is the master cylinder that came out of the car. I just undid it really quick, and it's from a 67 T-Bird, and it's kind of not a great setup for our car because we have one that comes straight down from here and then one that goes towards the exhaust. So as I had shown, I have this one off of an F100 that goes off both to the driver's wheel well instead of the exhaust. Well, this one's garbage. Not gonna use it. It's really bad, super rusty, not gonna happen. So I did find one that I'm gonna get. It's just gonna take a day to get here because it's from Amazon, and sadly it wasn't same day, whatever. But I'll have to wait on that. But I'm having another issue. If you come down here, it's gonna be hard to see for you. So down here is our metering block, or our distribution block, whatever you want to call it. And currently, the hose that does have a hole in it is stuck and I can't get it off. So I'm kind of working on trying to get that off. I have vice grips on it now because it actually rounded off with the flare nut wrench I was using. So hopefully I can break it loose with the vice grips, and then we can put a new master in, make some new lines, and have brakes again. So that's what we've got going on, and just discovered that I also have a pretty major gas leak on my carburetor somewhere, so probably gonna have to rebuild that for the second time. Where's my phone? What the heck? Well, it is Monday morning on the day that I'm probably supposed to be uploading this video because, well, didn't get a lot of stuff done last week. I had already started late. I'm pretty sure I started on Saturday because the whole week I had taken a job that is continuing this week. However, this morning, we're getting a new windshield. All right, if we just come over here and open our door, you can see, if it focuses, well, our steering wheel's gone, and our column is currently torn apart. And there's our old turn signal harness and our new harness just right there, as well as here's that piece of trim. And this here is our turn signal housing. And what we're gonna do this bad boy is, if you can see that line right there, we're actually gonna put this on a lathe and turn it down in order to fit that steering wheel, because that steering wheel's off of a Mustang, and the collar that's on it is a Mustang collar. And on these Galaxies, for some reason, Ford decided to make a 1/4 inch taller turn signal housing, and so the steering wheels were a 1/4 inch shorter. It's gonna focus, and the Mustangs were not. Now on a 7-liter, which this steering wheel could have come on, a 7-liter, which is basically a Galaxy, but it is its own technical model, the collar there was actually a 1/4 inch shorter. And that allowed it to fit on directly onto a Galaxy turn signal housing. Now what I'm going to do, because that's really hard to cut, is I'm going to cut this down on that line that you can see there that I believe is exactly a 1/4 inch. I'll measure it and double check, but pretty sure it's exactly a 1/4 inch, so that's where we're going to cut it. We also found some other major issues in our column itself. First being, it didn't even have a bearing it had that little bronze bushing that's sitting on the packaging for my turn signal switch. And the bronze bushing was basically seized on there. The grease was just so nasty and old. So I actually was lucky enough to have picked up a 65 steering column. There's the steering wheel. I picked up this 65 steering column at the Pomona swap meet for free. It literally was just sitting on some guy's space at the end of the swap meet. My dad and I drive around picking stuff up sometimes, and I asked the guy because I saw it and said, hey, that kind of looks like a Galaxy steering column. And the guy said, yeah, you can have it. So picked it up, took it, and we've been using it for parts, and it just so happened to have a perfectly good bearing, as well as the rubber piece that goes around the bearing. So it had a perfectly good bearing, as you can see, which I already cleaned it out yesterday and put some grease in it. And also this rubber outer piece that sits in the column that keeps it from moving around. So that's pretty much what we're working on. And well, let's go ahead and take the trim off the bottom of the front of the car. Now, like I had mentioned, I do not know how this bottom piece of trim comes off, but what I am going to do is take off this cowl piece, or at least try to, because, well, may come off this way. Okay, and I'll go ahead and set these aside somewhere where I won't forget them. All right, and our window washer things are out, and this should just slide right out, which it does. Look at that. That was easy. I know in a lot of cars this doesn't even come out, so kind of happy this comes out. And now, oh my gosh, it's got to be at least 2 inches of sand here. I'll show you. And look at that. That is a literal mound of sand that has just been peeking under there, and there's a few more in there. And of course, there's just piles of sand down in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the shop vac and vacuum that all up. And now, looks like I have access to all of the lower trim pieces for this guy, because it looks like it just unscrews. So we'll get working on that, but let's vacuum this up first. And we're just gonna take our little shop vac here. This is all like hard packed. Okay, so I vacuumed up quite a bit, but it's not done. I'm gonna have to go at it probably after this guy's gone. But as you can see, our trim is now loose. And the reason it's loose is because it actually is bolted on, the clips are bolted to the back of the firewall, or the cowl here, whichever you want to call it. And so it is loose. However, there is one single bolt underneath the fender right here that is virtually impossible to get to unless I take the fender off, which I really want to avoid doing. So what I'm going to try to do is separate this piece in the middle and try to slide it off, because it's right at the edge. It's right here. Although this side's almost out. It's right at the pinch, but there it is. Okay. So that's not going to be fun to put back on for sure, but at least I didn't take the fender off. Okay, well, plans actually changed a little bit. Windshield's going to be a little bit longer than I expected. No big deal, because, well, we still going to work on this guy. And I went ahead and actually cleaned up this shift column shifter, and also changed out our shift lever. The one that's on here now, although it looks pretty much just as rough, does not have a huge indentation, as you can see on this one. And so this one was definitely pretty worn. And this is off a 66, which you know it's 66 because it's got a plastic tipped end. This one that's in here now is a 65, as you might be able to see, because it's got a chrome metal end. This one actually spins. It's not in the greatest shape, but I'm not too worried about it, because I actually can buy these new if I need to, and they also used them in lots of different vehicles. But more importantly, my plan is to actually put a different end on this lever. So And our spring still works, so we still have a spring. I also went ahead and touched up this indicator with a little bit of orange dial paint that I've had from a previous project. So now what we also did is took our shifter hub and turned it down about 1/4 of an inch, almost exactly 1/4 of an inch actually. So it's turned down, so now it will accept the 66 Deluxe Mustang wheel without sticking out, hopefully. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing cleaned up too. But right this second, I actually want to clean this thing, and this is our indicator. Now you can buy these brand new, they're very cheap, but because my plan is to eventually put a C6 in this wagon, the shift pattern is going to be wrong. So instead of buying a brand new one right now, I'm just going to clean this one up and throw it back in, and it looks fine. It's not perfect, but it looks fine. But what I'm going to show you is I'm going to use some of this Polywatch stuff. It's called Polywatch, and it's basically a polishing compound specifically made for plastic and glass watch faces, so the covers on watches. And so I'm just going to put a little bit on here because I use this on basically anything that's plastic because it clears up scratches and makes them shiny and more see-through. And so I've been using this stuff like crazy. I even used it on the center for our horn center. And you're supposed to use a rag, but I'm just going to use paper towels because that's what I got here. And you literally use it just like a polishing compound. You just kind of rub it in and rub it in for a little while and then wipe it off, and it should be cleaner and more clear. And this thing is kind of hard to get into the nooks and crannies, but I'm not worried about making it perfect. I'm going to get a new one once we do the C6 swap anyways, because you can buy them for the C6 specific pattern. Okay, so camera kind of flunked out on me and my mics went out, so I don't know where they went out, but they went out. But I have our piece back in here. I set it in and tightened the screws, and it kind of went on right away. It was no issue at all. And I got our wires through, and the way that I did them was I basically I had a piece of old speaker wire that was really thin. I tied that to our yellow wire right here, which the yellow and the blue with yellow are slightly thicker gauge than the rest of the wire. So I basically did a square knot on this yellow wire, and then I took electrical tape and wrapped it and worked my way up. And once I got past the big knot of the yellow wire, I hooked the blue up, and I didn't tie it, I just taped it flat against the wire, and then I did the next one on top of that, and the next one on top of that, and on top of that. Basically staggered them because I didn't want all the pins to try to have to go in by once, and I wanted to make a nice even cone, and then I pulled it through. It was a little rough pulling it through. I had to retape some spots. The tape that I used electrical tape, but it was really old electrical tape, so the adhesive was sticking to the inner body of this. But we got it all through, and I actually went ahead. I have a rubber boot here that is off of the Part 65 column that I had, because my car didn't have one for some reason. And I actually cleaned up and threw on our shielding here real quick. And so pretty much all we're doing now is depinning the old switch. You could get a tool to do this. There is a depinning tool just for this. However, I find it easy enough. I have this pick that has just a slight bend in it, and I find it easy enough because of the way these wires are. They have only one, I don't even know if you can see it, they have one piece right there that sticks out. So I just take this pick and I find which part of it's sticking out. I push it in and pull it out. Let's see, which one is this one? It's the last blue one, I think. Yeah, so let's do this blue one right here so I can see that's right there. So I'm going to push it in, and it's kind of hard, but when you get the hang of it, and that one actually snapped and boom, pulls right out. And we take our new wire, and actually on these wires I've been kind of pulling out their little lips just a little bit because they've been trying to pull out, but if you pull out their lip a little bit, it tends to work a little better. I'm going to wire this one through here because it goes very close to this yellow one, and we're just going to put it in and hope that we can get it there. Just enough of a tight fit, but they're just barely enough, long enough. So you actually got to get them in there all the way. Okay, and that's all of our wires. And so now we just got to hook them all back up, which is not the funnest job in the world. Head under here. Sometimes you just got to get in the position. This one hooks up to this. Click. Nice satisfying click on that. Okay. That should be our wiring. Whew. And lastly, we just put our steering wheel on, take off our nut, and we'll grab our impact here and just kind of... That ain't going nowhere. Okay, so now we just got to hook up our battery and see if we have turn signals and a horn and well, whatever else. Okay, battery's hooked up, and I actually don't know if this horn thing is going to work, but we'll start with turn signals. Probably need to put keys in. Okay, right turn, or left. Huh. I can hear it going, but I'm not seeing the lights on the dash light up. Let me double check that they're on. Oh, we got a horn. Definitely gonna have to figure out the turn signal. So, but I can at least drive it now. Well, kind of. Probably gonna figure out the turn. No, I can drive it. I just have to figure out which one goes where in the turn signal. Maybe I just wiggle the switch a little bit too. All right, well, so as you may be able to tell, got a windshield now. That's pretty cool. In fact, that's actually a huge major milestone on this car because that just means it's one step closer to being driving on the road. And hopefully after today, it is driving on the road. Now, there was a whole debacle getting this windshield. I actually was supposed to get it about a week ago, and guy who came to do it came, and it was the wrong windshield. The distributor that he got it from, the warehouse, had the wrong one, so had to wait a week to get the correct one, which of course is 2 inches taller, and finally got it in here. So you'll see a little time lapse of that, at least partially a time lapse. I did forget to start it early enough, but we got a windshield in. So one problem solved, and now we're working on the next problem, and then the next problem, because for some reason, once this windshield got installed and I started up the car, I now got a gas leak at the fuel line somewhere underneath the driver's door. Can't win them all. We're gonna get the brakes dialed in on this thing because we finally got all the parts to redo the master cylinder and the brake lines. So this is pretty much what we've been fighting for the past, I don't know, week and a half, trying to get brakes. This is a new master cylinder. I had said that I didn't want to go with a new one because I had a bunch of perfectly good used ones. Well, I took them apart and they were all garbage. So just got a new one because this one was actually only 30 bucks. It's for a Mustang, 67 to 70, Mustang, Cougar, whatever. It'll do the job, but it's got some weird fitting situations that I had to solve that for some reason took days to solve in 3 different part stores to get the parts. First of it being is that the rear brake fitting on this master cylinder is actually a 1/2 inch fitting, which we had to go to one store to find to get a 1/2 inch to 3/8. And then on the actual pressure differential switch block, the front fitting is 3/8 to 3/8, but the rear fitting is this 1/2 inch to a 7/16 on the block. So I had to get a 7/16 to 3/8 in order just to use this bend your own pre-fitted brake line. Now these are a little bit longer than the previous lines because I'm actually going to be putting a loop-de-loop in them for vibration's sake. But just getting these fittings was a total pain in the butt. So now we finally have a master cylinder, and we have to start bending 2 lines, bend them up to the master cylinder, tighten everything down, and then bleed our brakes, and we have brakes. All right, well, it didn't exactly go as planned. My batteries were all dead for my time lapse, so these lines just got bent up. So they're bent up and they're attached. They don't hit each other. They're coiled. So now we just have to bleed the master cylinder, and then we can put it on and bleed the rest of the car and have brakes for the first time ever.
Once the chamber, you have a 1-inch diameter bore. Okay, you're going to just go step on the way.
And not very much. Okay, ready?
Yep. Because once the air's gone, you're going to get a stream out of those lines. That's also why you don't bottom it out.
Really? How much does it take? That's a lot.
Oh yeah.
All right, well, master cylinder, done. But now I get to bleed all the brakes again for the 4th time, I think, now. But who's counting? So I'm gonna do that real quick, and then hopefully we have working brakes. And then I gotta address a fuel line leak. Well, we're fixing fuel line here. There is no undercoating. Like, there's no undercoating. I think it's leaking here too, though.
You have a leak right here for sure.
Uh-huh. You wanna, is this the new one?
Yeah.
Let's grab it, because it looks short to me. It looks really short. I don't know about you. That looks awfully short.
That is not 120 inches.
Said 10 feet on the package.
Okay.
Because I undid it and I was like, that's short.
Because this side's pretty
So-
much flat.
So, are you sure wagons are 115 inches?
That's what it says.
What, on what?
Specifically wagons.
On the parts book?
Uh-huh.
That's scary. Or maybe the front does run a longer rubber line from there to the fuel pump.
This is the original line.
Yeah, except for they thought these are nylon, they'll never rust. They don't have to get to them.
Okay.
You know, sometimes I feel like people forget, because people go, why would they make this out of plastic?
Alright, looks like there's another clamp farther up.
And when I think about it, I think, well, you got to realize that when this car was made, plastic was only about 20 years old, like real plastic.
Right.
So they had no idea what the longevity of their plastic would be. I like to believe. So if you're following along, we took a 1/4x20 screw, chopped the head off it, shoved it in one end of our new hose, put it in the other end of the old hose, which is for some reason a little bit wider on the inside, just enough that the screw is loose in there, but then wrapped it in some electrical tape, and hopefully we can slide it through the frame area where there's a clip that we basically cannot access, as you might be able to see. And hopefully it pulls right through, and then we're home free, I think.
Okay, you're at the tape.
Yep. All right. It's 100 and how much? 58?
Yep.
So probably 160, 161 or something.
Yep. There's a crack right
Yeah,
there.
I see that one.
Okay. And that's not where it was leaking.
No, that's just a pressure crack.
Yep.
So basically where we're at is the supposed length that was supposed to be correct according to the parts book, 115 inches of nylon tubing to run from the front to the back for the wagons, was incorrect because the tube that came out of there was basically 160 or 161, give or take, a few inches, 161 inches long. And so we're about 2.5, 3 feet short. And the worst part is that that's mostly at the back, although that could potentially be easy to do since you can kind of see in there. And so there's two ways you could do this. You could run one really long rubber line over the arch of the frame, just where it's sticking out to that tube, and do that. And what I think we're going to do is actually take a metal hard line and bend a metal hard line and cut it to length, and then clamp the rubber that's already there, and then just run a tiny little piece of rubber to connect the plastic to the metal hard line, just so if anything happens and it doesn't try to pull itself out or shake itself out into the tire. So that's probably what we're going to do. So what we've got going on is I actually happen to have a 5/16 metal line in my 62 Thunderbird, because I had bought this stuff originally to make transmission cooling lines for my C6 swap. So I had one that was already kinked and messed up and unusable, and so it's going to work perfect for this. I went ahead and kind of bent it, just, you know, on the old armchair anvil right there, and flared it a little bit, probably too hard. Totally going to cut into the rubber lines. But it does line up pretty darn well in this area. It's got a little bit of fixing. I gotta unbend something just slightly. In fact, I'm gonna do that right now. Bend that a little more. Oh, well, will not be going in that clip, because that clip doesn't exist anymore. Well, it's in the metal clip on the frame, and it's actually, I mean, it might vibrate a little bit. I think we finally have a working and complete and non-leaking fuel system, hopefully. So I can clean all this up, put the car down, and hopefully drive it down the street and fill it with gas. Okay, we are on the GoPro cam. I have no rear view mirror. I poured about 200 milliliters of gas inside the tank. I have no idea how much is left. It cannot be much because a lot of it leaked out. And we have about a mile to the gas station, and it goes downhill for about half a mile. So, like really downhill. So we're gonna see if we can make it. We're not gonna waste any time other than I will find my seat belt, which is right here, and put that on. I have one mirror and half a pack of cigarettes, 100 what, you know, blues, what, anyways. Bring it on. Okay. And we haven't tested the brakes, so let's make sure those work first. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Head knocking. This is interesting. First real drive. And we're a go. All right. Oh, and the sun's right there. Oh, and I already hear something make a noise. Coming to a stop. Oh, gotta wait for a bunch of cars. Come on. Come on. All right. This exhaust is loud. 100 feet and then we're safe. Come on, baby. You can do it. It definitely smells. The windshield is nice, though. I don't hear any concerning noises that I can tell. And we're on the hill. So it could die, but we're on the hill. So that's all that matters. And besides all the air noise, this thing rides pretty good. All right, cast run done. There's a dead moth down there. Took 18 gallons. It was definitely close to empty. Now let's see. Oh, fuel gauge works. Kind of. Well, it says 3/4. It's definitely full. Let's go. It says I'm going 60. I don't know how accurate that is. I do have to rebuild the carburetor because it leaks. Oh. Well, car just turned off. Okay, maybe it doesn't run. Let's see. Okay, I don't know what just happened. It just all of a sudden just shut off. And I mean just all of a sudden just loss of power and it was shutting itself off. But it's trying to run. But it was like the transmission or something. Maybe it was just out of fuel and it just didn't.
Yeah, you had to suck it from the tank.
Yeah.
You might have just been that close.
Apparently I might have been just that close. All right, well, be safe. I'm gonna try to leave. As long as I get up the hill, it's okay. Hey, it's in neutral, but it's not moving. Okay, so I was able to pull off that main road that, up that hill. We got a major issue here, but I can't tell what it is. It is acting like we're losing cranking power, running power for some reason. Because, well, let's just see. I mean, it's not hot. But it's under load. Let's see. All right, turn that off. Let this thing run. So let's see what happens. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and probably just end it here. Obviously, we got some more kinks to work out on this thing, but it'll get there. So we fixed the gas line, fixed the brakes correctly, got a new windshield. That's pretty big. Fixed the turn signals, steering wheel, which was pretty nice. I'm happy to have that deluxe wheel. I just got to get a horn center for it, and I really got something I think will be cool for that. I guess that's what we're going to end here. So thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Everything you got to do on YouTube. I appreciate it. I appreciate you watching. I thank you for watching. It means a lot to me, and hopefully I can keep this going. And we're going to get Stray Cat going for Power Tour because, well, we're only 4 weeks from now. So stay tuned. See you later.